Real quick, we've had a new entry into a statewide race. Jeff Landry now running for Attorney General. Seems like he's going to be running with the support of David Vitter. Looks like David Vitter's been tangling with Attorney General Buddy Caldwell over the whole issue of these EBT abuses that went on back in October of last year when 12,000 folks spent money they didn't have in their account, and seems like Vitter has been critical of the Attorney General that only 6 of these people so far are being prosecuted in some way. Now I get a press release from Jeff Landry saying he's running for Attorney General. 5 minutes later, a statement saying, hey, here's support from David Vitter. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually wrote a column about it yesterday morning, and basically what I called it was, basically, are you ready for the Tea Party? I think that David Vitter has been a very loyal Tea Party government official. I'm assuming he's a member of the Tea Party. I know he spoke a number of times, at least once, I should say, up in at your organization on North Shore. And he certainly has had a lot of open meetings, public meetings with the Tea Parties around the state. So I see this as an alliance with Vitter and Landry, and I think others will jump in too.
I'm not gonna say the name, but I was talking to a friend yesterday who was telling me that his brother's wife is involved in, let's just say, education. And David Vitter is already reaching out to this lady to be a part of his cabinet for education. And, we're a year and a half away from the election. He's already working on who's going to be part of his cabinet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sounds like he's pretty confident he's going to win. And not only does he want to win, he wants to bring in other cabinet officials. He wants to make sure he's got a legislature he can work with. And somebody said it well. I mean, David Vitter, if he's elected governor, is going to be Bobby Jindal on steroids.
I mean, I certainly don't think he's going to be promising a position for support. I don't think he's that stupid, or stupid for that matter. I mean, my question is, and I think the last time we talked, you had real questions as to whether or not there would be any competition other than, say, John Bell Edwards, the Democrat, who nobody knows whether or not he's going to have any competition. Meaning that John Kennedy won't run and Jay Darden might not run.
That's the question. I think Darden could beat Vitter if you didn't have a Democrat in the race. I think if the Democrats had any brains, and what I find interesting is the Republicans nationally are stupid, but the Democrats locally are stupid. And I think if they wanted to really defeat Vitter, they would get behind Jay Darden, and I think that's the only vehicle they have to possibly beat him. John Bell Edwards or whoever, I mean, he's not going to win. Mitch Landry's not going to win. I don't think Mitch Landry's going to run.
Yeah, well, the recent poll, again, the PPP poll, that the same one that I cited earlier this morning, that they had Jindal at 35% favorables, although Jindal says his poll has him at 50%. But no other poll has him even close to that, except for his poll. And but basically has Vitter ahead of everybody, including one-to-one Landry, Darden, and so I think Vitter's a force to be reckoned with at this point in time.
I think the closest was Darden, though, if I'm not mistaken, among all the different potential challengers. And there was 30% undecided in that race when they did a matchup with Darden and Vitter. So we'll see. I mean, I think Darden will probably still run, because I think now you got Billy Nungesser, who's raised big money, and he's running for lieutenant governor. So Darden's going to be even having to face a well-funded Billy Nungesser if he wants to run for lieutenant governor again, or face David Vitter in the governor's race. So it's going to have a tough race either way.
Yeah, now what I personally find very interesting here with Vitter running for governor, and in the past, he has been able to, I don't want to say control, but at least be able to have some persuasion over certain legislators against Bobby Jindal on certain issues. And now that he's running, it's going to obviously be a whole lot more open. and he's going to be taking positions. Legislators who either believe the same as Vitter does, or at least or similar in philosophy, they're going to be more open. So I think you're going to see, a lot of corralling going on, and it's not going to be just, Jindal out there, with his program. It's going to be Vitter in his program, and maybe to a lesser extent, it could be Darden too. So here's a time, when you have a lame duck, as and General says he's not a lame duck, but he's starting to quack. I certainly think you're going to have a lot of people out there who are going to be playing some major roles during this legislative session.
All right, and I think it's an opportunity for Kennedy and Darden to see what they can offer. As you say, Jindal's he's checked out here in Louisiana. I mean, I think he's already running for president, and he's already looking toward. Not that he was ever really checked in. I mean, I think he was really running for president really from day one anyway, from when he was first elected as governor, but even more so now than ever. Let's take some calls.
Yeah, and let me just mention this. I personally, think that he probably had some ambition way back 6 years ago. I still think he's the most talented of all of the people I've seen run for governor and be governor. And I just think that his ambition, his raw ambition, really soured a lot of people on him. And it's not his philosophy. It's his ambition. That I think really has caused his downfall here in Louisiana.
Look at what he does. He does interviews with national shows like Face the Nation. He'll go on Fox News, but he won't do local interviews.
Sure.
He'll make news conferences in front of the White House, but he won't do it here locally.
Sure.
So, I mean, he's really showed his disdain almost for his own constituents that put him into power. Because, he's forgotten about them, I think, a long time ago. And I think that really has contributed to his low approval numbers. I don't think it's his philosophy, really, because I do think Louisiana is a red state. Yeah. I just think it's how he goes about his business, which has been so, I think, upsetting to people here.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that.
All right, let's take some calls. 504-556-9696. Our friend James in Metairie is with us. What's happening, James?
Good morning. Good morning to you, Jeff, and same to you, Steve.
Thanks, James.
Just real quickly, concerning late-night television, I don't know if, Jeff, if you had a chance to see Seth Meyers' debut last night on NBC.
No, I missed
it. Maybe in about 6 months they'll be saying, I think we made a mistake. We need to switch time slots between Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. That was a really very good show.
Really?
Seth Meyers. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was more of the traditional Tonight Show format rather than Jimmy Fallon's silly little skits that he loves to do.
Well, Seth Meyers does seem to be more of an adult, so.
Yeah, it was very, very good. The guy's a comedy writer, so he just had one joke after another.
Good.
It was really it was impressive. Bobby Jindal seems to have his ambition seems to greatly outpace and outperform his performance as governor. When Vitter gets in the governor's mansion, and I think that's almost a sure thing, and it's a tragedy for Louisiana. The C.B. Forgodston's list of the L.A. Misery Index, we're 50th, 49th. Vitter comes in and can improve that. He can show that, he's done something in the state. So maybe that's because Jindal's performance has just been in the gutter. I don't know how this guy thinks he can go on to a higher level position of responsibility, because his record, Jeff, based on his record, it just wouldn't work. It's probably he thinks he can charm people into voting.
Well, let's just talk about that for a second. His accomplishments, I'm trying to think of what his accomplishments would be. I guess he would point to the ethics bill that he passed and maybe the voucher bill, because he didn't get his tax reform through. Steve, the ethics bill was very incomplete and didn't really include the executive branch. And the voucher bill has really been challenged in court, and we still have, if I'm not mistaken, court challenges going on as far as that program.
Right.
What would you say his biggest accomplishments are?
Without doubt, economic development. I mean, and would I call him a failure? No, because I think that Steve Moray, who he chose for Secretary of Economic Development, who I think that we question whether or not he was worth the amount of money that he was going to get for salary. I think Steve Moray has done a really terrific job, and I think that if you look at what is going on with the quote $70 billion worth of projects that people are talking about, but I haven't seen personally. I think that economic development is definitely a strong suit.
Would you agree with James? Would you agree with that?
Well, Jeff, I'm looking at a column that Elliot Stonecipher wrote about 2 weeks ago, and despite what the general administration tried to spin those numbers as far as population growth, according to the demographer, the most well-known or visible demographer, every day, Jeff, it continues the bleeding, the out-bleeding of residents in the state. 50 people a day, or 50 residents a day, more than 2 residents an hour, continue to leave the state.
And a lot of this because, I'm sorry, go on.
Well, the state has a natural population growth of births over deaths, but Jindal has done nothing to stop the bleeding of residents who leave to go find greater opportunities.
So let me ask you this: has the population decreased since he became governor? Is that
No. This natural, people have children, and the
right. Okay.
The births exceed the deaths, but the out-migration has continued. People who were here, raised here, educated here, continue to leave.
So out-migration is outpacing in-migration.
Absolutely. According to Elliot Stonecipher, it's a fact, and Jindal has done nothing to make that better.
So, Steve, how can you have economic development if we're still losing more people than we're bringing in?
And talented people, talented taxpayers continue to leave, Jeff. That is a record of failure.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Steve?
Well, number one, as you know, Jindal does say that his greatest achievement has been stopping that out-migration, having more people come in, the brain drain. So that's what he said. And I did read the thing from Elliot Stonecipher. And I think what Stonecipher was saying, that the mass improvement in terms of population and the economy was related to the Katrina money. And that money is obviously drying up. And so there is that issue. I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you this. I personally have asked Steve Moray and also Jindal's secretary, at least the workforce development people, to do a Google Hangout to talk about these issues, because I hear $70 billion being pounded all the time, $70 billion worth of projects. I don't see them. I see some on Canal Street due to Katrina money, and also the joint effort of Jindal and Landrieu and others.
If you want,
but I don't see those projects, and so right. I've asked them to hey, let's
hang on, Steve.
With that,
we'll come back with more and wrap it up right after this on Ringside on WGSO.
Hey, New Orleans, do you just love Chinese food like me? Hi, it's Corey Johnson. There can only be one best Chinese, and it's Trey Yen. Trey Yen has all your favorite traditional Chinese dishes and some not so traditional. The Wong brothers serve some of the area's best seafood, and with a Chinese twist, like trout, flounder, soft-shell crabs, shrimp, oysters, and more. Trey Yen in Mandeville, Trey Yen in Hammond. When you want the best in Chinese food, Trey Yen.
Hi, my name is Donnie Natel Jr. of Natel's Air Conditioning. We service all makes of air conditioning and heating systems. Our motto is service honoring the golden rule. More than likely, we've been in your business or homes many times in the last 50 years. Katrina caused many of our customers to relocate around the New Orleans area. Please call us, 504-821-0005. And once again, let us service your air conditioning and heating systems, 504-821-0005. Proud sponsors of the St. Jude Dream Home.
I once read that potatoes were outlawed in Scotland in 1728 because they are not mentioned in the Bible. Now that's an example of wrongly interpreting Scripture. Here's a good rule to remember. Everything in the Bible is true, but not all truth is in the Bible. A potato is a gift from God, even though it's not mentioned in the Bible. The Bible is not an encyclopedia or a book containing all the world's knowledge. It was given as a record of God's plan of redemption, a guide to our salvation. We can spend a lifetime studying the truth it does contain without debating the truth it doesn't. This is David Jeremiah, encouraging you to get on the road to new life. Discover God's truth on Route 66.
Route 66, driving the word home. Log on to Route66Life.com. Start your journey home today.
Ringside Politics with a Punch and Jeff Cruair are on the air now. Whether you're defending a sacred cow, beating a dead horse, or shooting the bull, bring your chickens home to roost now by calling Jeff Cruair at 556-9696.
All right, we're going to come back and wrap it up now, squeezing a few more calls. Steve Sabadowski with us, publisher of BayouBuzz.com. Jeff Cruair here. And Steve, you ready to take some more calls?
Sure, please. Thank you.
All right, 504-556-9696 is the talk line brought to you by our friends at Star Spray Foam, your insulation experts. Check out starsprayfoam.com for more information. Our friend Adam in Pearl River is with us. What's going on, Adam? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Yeah, I just wanted to throw in a comment or two about Bobby Jindal since you were talking about him. You know, I used to be a supporter of Bobby, and it really didn't bother me too much in that he had some national ambitions, as long as he kept things honest and going in this state. But when he rejected the idea of an inspector general for the state of Louisiana, that said to me the wrong thing about Bobby Jindal. And then he came along and made a couple of other moves. The big one for me was Common Core and supporting Common Core and hiring a state superintendent of education with basically 3 years of teaching experience. Again, it said the wrong thing to me. And finally, when he supported Kevin Davis, or he hired Kevin Davis, rather, a Landrieu supporter, Bobby Jindal proved to me that he's got a few loose wires up there. And I will never be able to vote for him for national office just based on those three incidents.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't argue with any of those three. I mean, he didn't fully support the Inspector General position. He didn't really come out against Common Core, and he hired a bunch of former politicians, not just Kevin Davis, but the former St. Bernard Parish president, Craig Tefero, and then he hired a former state legislator, Jane Smith, and gave her a position in his administration. So it was sort of a home for failed politicians, the Jindal administration.
Yeah, it sends the really wrong message in terms of his integrity. You know, even though he's pro-life, conservative Christian, these other things are just a little too far out there for me to ever support him in the future.
All right, my friend. Hey, thanks for expressing your viewpoints on the airwaves. That's Adam in Pearl River. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, you know, certainly I think he's lived up to his pledge. It's not who you know, it's what you know. I say facetiously. I mean, to me, that's the biggest disappointment for me, and that is that I really thought that he was going to make a big difference in that regard. I really believed him. I really thought that, you know, it would not be, you know, based upon how much money you contributed or, you know, what your position is in terms of politics. That's been proven just over and over, all in all, in terms of appointments. You know, well, he's played the same game.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't play the game, you know, but don't tell me that you're not going to play the game and then play the game better than anybody else.
He hasn't reformed it one iota, and all the people that get appointments are just big donors, right? Sure. I mean, those are the only people he even looks at, right? I mean, for
well, I mean,
Board of Supervisors, Board of Regents, any real key post.
Sure. I mean, I think that the study, the last time I looked at the Board of Regents, everybody gave money to him either before or afterwards. One guy here from Metairie gave $50,000 over, you know, a period I think of years, I think 7-8 years, something like that, became member of the Board of Regents. it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what some of their businesses, how they have, this person happens, I don't want to say what his industry is, but it has no relationship to do with education. Certainly not upper education, higher education.
No.
It's the same. It's the same game.
It's called politics as usual. That's just what it is. All right, let's squeeze another call in to 504-556-9696 to join us. Jeff Crouere here, Steve Sabanowski with us. Our friend who needs no introduction. We'll introduce him anyway. The Flaming Liberal with us. Hey, Flaming Liberal, good morning.
Jeff, did Captain Black earlier say that liberals should be happy because blacks are being murdered in Detroit? Did I hear correctly?
No, I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was saying that the black police chief there is taking action, and that he was commending him for that, for aggressively going after criminals.
Okay, well, Jeff, in the past you've been critical of Jimmy Carter's Desert One operation to rescue the hostages in Iran. Earlier today I listened to a program on the military.